Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Empowering Monday, your weekly dose of motivation and inspiration, powered by ZRM Studios, a professional photo and video company. I'm your host, Mark Tablon, and today we have Adam of Enta Solutions. How are you doing, Adam?
I'm doing well, Mark. Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, thank you for coming in. Adam, before we start our podcast, can you tell me a little bit about your company and what you guys do to help other business companies?
Sure.
Yeah.
Enta Solutions, we are a corporate culture company.
Okay.
So we specialize in the ROI of high engagement of your team. So
Okay.
that's the higher productivity, lower turnover. And to us, your culture of your business, that's your identity. It's both what you do and what you say. So what you do, we call that your team culture. That's how you run your business. We'll do workshops and custom team buildings, and then business improvement. That's the more technical process and procedure type stuff. And then what you say are the stories that you tell about it. We call that your digital culture. So how are you authentically showing up online in the digital space, whether that's internally if your company's a little bit bigger, or externally with your social media, your video production, things of that nature. So
Okay.
that's what we do. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, when did you start your company?
Well, I didn't start it. My business partner, Caitlin, started
Okay.
a numbered company back in, I think, 2012. And then in 2015, we signed over half of it to me. And the two of us had this, magical thing called Enta and
Okay.
big ideas and big dreams. And so, yeah, that was 2015, eight years ago now. So,
Wow.
yeah.
It's it's a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, like if you're like doing it on your own, sometimes like if you wanted to grow your business, it's actually hard by just doing it on your own. So, well, how many people are in the company?
We're up to 10 now. And then
Awesome.
we have lots and lots of different specialist contractors that will engage as needed for
Yeah.
temporary projects or whatever. But yeah, I would say I'm very, very grateful that I had a business partner to kind of go through this journey. It can be lonely, so it's great to have someone to bounce ideas off of, to
Yeah.
hold you in check, all that kind of stuff.
So how did you transition to this company? Because I read your bio and you were a pilot back in the day.
Yeah, I had my private pilot's license. I got that when I was in university.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mostly just use that for fun. Take girls up and go zip around. I ended up working in the defense industry because I had a master's degree in aerospace engineering.
Okay.
So I worked for some kind of big mega engineering consulting firms.
Nice.
And then I ended up in the energy industry, as one does in Calgary. You're like, all the roads tend to lead there. That's where I met Caitlin. We were working for a large engineering consultant doing pipeline design and that kind of thing. And, at coming from the defense world,
Yeah.
my training in terms of process rigor and that type of stuff was a lot higher than my colleagues in the energy industry, which makes sense, right? Like an airplane can't fall out of the sky or,
Yeah.
it's defense, so a gun can't not fire or things like this, right?
Yeah.
So, even pipelines, as critical as they are, don't go through the same rigor. So I started having a lot of success fixing stuff, right?
Okay.
Errors that would happen in projects, things of that nature. And then my partner, Caitlin, was on the quality assurance side, and we started just having fun, building process, and then out of that, build a training. And then, I think when the price of oil started to wobble in like 2014,
Yeah.
just before 2015, when it totally crashed, morale in the office was starting to drop. People were kind of worried about their jobs and this kind of stuff. So we started building like escape rooms that you could do in the office and, trying to help with the morale, try and really get people to engage. And then, as that morale dropped, errors on projects went up. Like we worked on a project where pipeline was started in the wrong place completely. And, we had to ask ourselves, like, why has this happened? Like, why is engagement dropping and errors going up? Like, what is happening here? And we came to the conclusion that, as you grow as a business, it's like when you start, right? If you and I start a business tomorrow, we're going to be so excited about it. There's nothing we won't do to get this thing off the ground, right?
100%, yeah.
And then the first 5 people to join us, same thing, 10, 20 even. But then all of a sudden, we get to be maybe 50 people or 100 people. And all of a sudden,
blew up.
What happened? We start to look like everybody else, right? We start to have turnover issues. People are overworked and burning out. Frustration, that type of stuff. So, the question we asked ourselves way back was, could you scale a business and still keep that high level of engagement? And we said, yeah, I think we can, and I think we know how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Culture of your business or engagement or whatever word you want to use is a discipline no different than, like accounting or IT or operations, whatever you do in your business. Treat culture the same. It takes time, it takes energy, it takes strategic thinking.
Mm-hmm.
An easy example is, everyone knows how to write a procedure or your version of it.
Okay.
If you have multiple people doing the same job in a company, at some point it becomes useful to write down how you want it done so that everyone doesn't do it different.
Mm.
The question is, how come, doesn't matter how creative you are, when you start to write a procedure, you become the most boring person on the planet. Like, it becomes so prescriptive, right? Why can't I make it colorful, make a diagram, make a video to go with it, or a training, whatever? Takes way more effort, way more energy, and way more creativity to do it that way. But your people who are using it will appreciate it. They'll be interested in it. They'll be excited about it. So that's basically how Enta Solutions was born, out of working for larger companies and that type of stuff.
Yeah, because culture is very important within the company, because you need people to be motivated to do their job, right? Not people who doesn't want to go to work because you have a very, very bad culture, right? And that's how you guys are come in and then fix the cultures that what your business does.
Yeah, exactly. Our programs are designed to combine the technical with the creative storytelling and all that kind of stuff, and hopefully move the needle for businesses that are feeling that pain point where they're, really busy. The owner is trying to be everywhere all at the same time. People are saying they're overworked. Why do we have to say yes to every single project? That type of stuff. So by trying to settle that noise down a little bit and create the space for innovation and creativity to happen, that's where engagement lives, right? When people feel like if they have an idea, they know what to do with it. The easiest thing in the world is a suggestion box. But how many companies have their version of a suggestion box, whether it's digitally or literally a box on the desk? Very few companies have that sorted out. And if there is, who goes and opens the box and takes the suggestions out and then reads them, right? And then who decides which ones they should do? And if the answer is no, who goes back to the person who suggested it and be like, hey, great idea, but we're not doing it for this reason, whatever that is. Or, this is awesome. Do you want to help lead it? Right? So, but you need that space in order for that to happen. And if it's firefighting all the time and you've grown really fast and it's chaos, there's not enough hours in the day.
I'm just curious if the company, how do a company knows that they have a bad culture if, because before they contact you or anything like that, and how can you help them, fix their culture in a way that, do you guys have you guys sit down and talk about their culture or anything like that, or how do you?
Honestly, it's not like somebody Googles business culture or calls us up and says, I have a culture problem. The symptom is usually something like turnover.
Oh, okay.
Right? I just lost a person and that guy just started and he quit again, or that girl left or whatever.
Oh, okay. So that makes sense.
That's usually the biggest sign. And, for whatever those people's reasons for leaving. Before that happens, typically what we see is, that high level of intensity where they're so busy they don't have time for a lunch and learn, or people are running and working more than their 40 hours a week. And the owner is working 60 hours a week trying to be everywhere. that to me is warning signs that you're about to
Yeah.
have a turnover problem in your near future.
Okay.
So, culture wise, when people are having that, that's, usually the conversation will start around, something, a specific symptom. Maybe it's project management. Maybe it's onboarding. Maybe it's
Okay.
their social media, whatever, right? There you go.
Yeah.
Something that they want handled. And okay, we sort that out, and that creates a little bit of space. And then the real conversation happens usually after that trust has been developed, right? Because
Oh, okay.
you're talking about people that, just like I did,
Yeah.
started one day in their garage and went to the registry and built this thing. And, it's very, very personal and very vulnerable for people to say, holy smokes, like we're being successful, but I need some help here. Like, I don't know what to do next.
I see.
So
And does your client normally is like in a big scale or small businesses? Because like it's easy to control when you have like a small team, right? Like employees or whatever.
yeah.
But when the big businesses, it's actually harder because, like you said, if there's like 50 people that needs to be, trained about culture or everything like that or anything like that,
Oh yeah.
it's
Like,
just I don't know. Do you guys like help big businesses or do you guys help more in a smaller scale?
so there's a couple layers to those
Yeah.
questions. So the first thing is it's easier to grow a culture than to change a culture.
Oh, okay.
So, the companies that will engage us are typically, at that point where they're, considered a medium-sized business or larger or whatever. But what we tell people is even if you're two people, like put the values on the wall and live by them. Like it's easier to start that now. It's
Yeah.
just you and me being like creativity is one of the key things around here. And this is how we define it. And, this going forward, when we're hiring people, when we're picking our clients, when we're, our suppliers or whatever, and that can kind of propagate with you as you go. And it'll be the easiest thing in the world to pick when you're small. And then if it kind of grows and you stick with it, then all of a sudden you have this amazing culture and you're a success story. If you haven't done that and it's kind of gotten away on you a little bit, then yeah, I mean, of course things can be done to get you back on track. It's not overnight. Change is painful, right? Not everybody wants to stay on the bus because you'll have people on there that are like, I don't agree that we're creative around here. We should just execute and get it done. And I don't know why we're spending time being creative.
Yeah.
Those people will usually self-elect themselves off anyways. But for the larger the company, so we do a lot of work for businesses, kind of in that $5 million and up revenue area. And then we will also work for companies that are in the, hundreds of millions of dollars. But then it's often a department, like a piece of the whole, right?
Okay, I see.
The larger companies, their pain often revolves around siloing of their different divisions and how they relate to each other and that kind of stuff, right? So our things that we'll do for those guys are like custom team building, that type of stuff. Like we did one for a company whose, one group was trying to wrap their heads around their own value proposition internally to the rest of the company. They were a new group. They were created as part of this kind of sales process and effort. And they were trying to figure out how to essentially market themselves internally to the rest of the company. So we did some team building around that, some work around value propositions, had some fun doing it. So, yeah, it's a mixed bag. On the flip side, though, the smaller companies, we'll often help them with grant programs. Like there's a grant program right now called Canadian Digital Adoption Program. That's pretty awesome for companies that make $500,000 in revenue. They can get access to grant money to pay for consultants to help, access to interest-free loans,
That's nice.
All this kind of great stuff. And then videos, like if you're pitching to investors, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you know this. You got all this
Yeah,
stuff here,
exactly,
right?
Yeah.
It's useful for businesses to come and spend a few $1,000 and get a pitch video or something talking about their business for their website or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So those are kind of baby steps you can do to try and stand out from your competitors early
That's
on
right.
in the game, right?
Because you don't only do culture stuff, right? But you also do like marketing stuff for business owners and stuff like that, right? And including video and photos and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's the storytelling piece of it, right? Best
Yeah.
way to propagate culture or good mojo is to tell stories,
That's true.
right? And video is the best way to do that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we bring that stuff in. And then, social media really, I think when it started out, was recognized as a pretty effective marketing tool,
Okay.
which is why you see a lot, like let's use LinkedIn, for example,
Yeah.
a lot of the pages that have, hey, here's the product or service that we offer. And then here it is again in a different way. And here it is again. It's really more of that advertising mindset where social media has shifted, and even your websites, from being a static source of information to more of an interactive community building effort.
Yeah.
Where people want to see behind the scenes. They want to see you hold up your phone and be like, hey,
That's
I'm
true.
down here at ZRM Studios, which I'm going to do before I leave here today, right? So they want to see the authentic, real kind of side of things, and they'll relate to that and connect to that. And that is, building that external community. Social media is just the best tool out there to do that. Yeah, that's kind of how, that's why we put culture kind of at the front of it. It's really connection is what we're trying to create, right?
Okay, I see. Yeah, because like social media nowadays is requires like either kind of like video or photo or anything like that for their businesses, right? I think it's just super powerful if you have like a company that like provides a video and photo to the client, so they can show it to their people or to their
Sure.
pretty much to the client.
Well, I mean, how effective is it to feature someone on your social page when they start? A picture of them.
Exactly.
Or,
Yeah.
Maybe it's their 5-year anniversary.
Yeah.
You add in some quotes from their, supervisors or their colleagues or whatever.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, social media is now an engagement tool, not just a marketing tool.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think not a lot of people have thought about it in that way, but we actually find it's quite effective to get your team excited. Because think about it. If you have, let's say, even just 10 people on your team,
Yeah.
each one of those people are on LinkedIn. And let's say most people who aren't too active have, I don't know, 400 or 500 followers. Their mom, their friends, their people they used to work with, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But if I put a post on as a company and then each one of those people comments it, likes it, share it, so you do that 10 times over, now we got 500 and then 500 more, and then it's going to get in the network of the people that are connected with me. So the exponential grows really fast, really quickly.
Yeah.
All by getting people to engage with it, if you can. I mean, the caveat to that is probably 1 or 2 out of that 10 are never ever going to engage on LinkedIn, no matter what you do. They're not interested. They don't care.
Yeah, that's
Whatever.
true.
So
Yeah.
you're not going to force them, but you can do your best to create an environment where the rest of people, or most of them, are like, yeah, sure, I'll engage on that stuff. That's that's awesome.
Yeah, that's a good thing about
Right.
social media. It's like you can connect people from the internet all over the world, right? So they can be like a potential client wherever they are in the world, right?
Yeah.
So it's like it's just if you have a business, you have to have a social media 100%.
And it's way easier, to tell people like, oh man, like I just can't think of what to post, or, they kind of
Yeah.
get stuck. It's way easier to document than to create. Document
Exactly,
meaning like,
yeah.
well, you're doing stuff all day, right? Well, like exactly. Hey, there's a picture of me and Mark down there
Yeah.
doing a podcast. People are like, hey, that's awesome. I know Mark. Like, how
Yeah.
do you like?
And then connect, yeah.
Yeah, like for us, we weren't into all this digital stuff at first. We were like straight process, technical,
Yeah.
team building. And then when the pandemic came, it essentially wiped us out overnight, as it did with many businesses.
Yes.
So we had no choice. Out of desperation, we were like, well, we're going on LinkedIn. We're going to learn everything we can about networking on LinkedIn. So, we took some courses. We engaged a consultant to help us out. And then we just started creating content kind of fearlessly. And it worked. And we've saved the company and grown it. And now offer that to other people. Because what happened was people saw our videos.
Yeah.
And coming out of the pandemic, I think it was top of mind for people. So they called up like, hey, I see your videos all the time. They're super awesome. Can you show me how to do that? I want to do it. No problem. So turned it into a course, ran a few business owners through it. And then I'd say 3/4 of them said, holy smokes, I never thought about how much time it took, how much thought
Yeah.
goes into it. And I realized that I don't have the time really or the interest to do it at that level. But, you're doing it for yourself. You're doing a good job. Come do it for me. And we're like, yeah, okay. I mean, this is pandemic. We're still desperate, right? Yeah, 100%. We'll run your LinkedIn account. No worries. And then that led for us to a bit of identity crisis because we started off wanting to create better workspaces.
Yeah.
The idea being if people were happier, more excited, more engaged at work, they'd go home, they'd bring that energy in a positive way to their families. And then the company would do better and give back more to the community. Like, this is our way of making the world a better place. And now we're doing social media marketing. So, like, which is it? Because it's confusing, right?
Yeah.
So we thought about it. We sought some advice. And then we eventually decided, back to that thing I said about it's both what you do and what you say. And that storytelling was actually a really powerful way to do it. So looking back, the only reason, we used some marketing tricks in there as well that we learned in software and stuff, but really it was because our content was authentic, it was consistent, it was ongoing. And, like I'll tell you a story.
Sure. Yeah.
Last January, just coming out like off the new year, phone rings and it's a guy we used to work with back when we started the company in like 2016 or 17.
Yeah.
And we had all gone our separate ways, and now he works for a large company in town. He's like, hey, I'm doing this, that, and the other, and I need this done, and I see your content all the time, and I'm always thinking about you guys, so come on over. And now they're one of our biggest clients.
That's awesome.
Didn't have to do anything. Just answered the phone, right? So, it does. That sort of authentic connection does pay off eventually.
Yeah, because like if you have a community, right? It's like you can grow your business when you have a community, but if you don't have anybody, then it's going to be hard for you to like basically grow your company, right? Like this guy's like you probably work, you said like you work with him in a previous job or whatever, right? At least you stayed connected, and now you have the community. If they need a video or photo or whatever, then who they would call, right? Course Adams, like I saw his content all the time, and they're pretty amazing. And
it's amazing how that happens, right? It's with you guys with the Empowering Mondays, right?
Yeah.
If you keep going, get to episode 100 or whatever,
hopefully
people are gonna know who you are, right? And
that's the goal. Yeah.
People get really worked up about like the number of followers, the number of views, the likes, all that kind of stuff. And like, we like, okay, those are metrics that we can measure for sure. And
that's right.
But they're vanity metrics, right? And if you're looking at your competitor and they're like, oh my God, my competitor has 5,000 followers. But we're like, then we go scroll through their posts, and their posts are kind of meh. And there's like no comments, and they're like, they probably bought those. Not saying they did, but they might have.
I would say yeah.
But the people that buy from you, like if you look at my stuff, if I go on there, it's, the same group of, let's say 50 people that will engage with that, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to engage on everyone, but, it's my people I've worked with, our friends, our colleagues, but they're not necessarily people that are going to buy from us. People that buy from us are the ones that see the stuff but never engage in it. But like, then all of a sudden one day I'll run in and be like, oh yeah, I saw your stuff. I mean, to ask you about this, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So there's like this, I don't know, like a shadow following of people that see your stuff.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, oh, 1,500 impressions. I don't know who that was, but now there's AI tools that'll tell you. Right? So now we're looking at like, cool, I can use an AI tool that tells me who those impressions are, and now I can plug that into a more sophisticated marketing machine, and onward so we go, right? So.
I mean, like companies nowadays are becoming smarter and smarter because, like, yes, you have probably like 100,000 followers, but if no one's commenting, like,
what does it matter?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's like, you're not gonna make money off of those people.
I'd rather have 10 followers that buy from me.
Like you said, right? You have like 500 followers, but it's like all solid. If they need like a service from you, then they can just contact you right away. But if they have like fake followers, and you're not gonna make profit off of those, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, anyways, so well, thank you so much, Adam. I guess we can start with the real questions now.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right. That was just the
'Cause-
preamble.
Yeah, I know. I mean, like, yeah, because I just asked you about like what your company does and stuff like
Yeah.
that, which you explained it very well.
Mm-hmm.
But like this podcast, actually, we want people to be empowered. That's why we're here.
All
So
right.
I prepared a question for you here.
Okay.
And
let's hit me.
yeah, so first of all, I think you mentioned this a while ago, but how do you define your company's purpose and how does it align with your personal value?
Whoa, deep question. Our purpose, our company, is a better world through business. We
Okay.
talked a little bit about that. Our idea, being that if you have empowered businesses that are succeeding and have empowered people working there, then they'll get back more into the community and whatever. So our view on the world is, businesses are what's going to change the world for the better, not just government, for example.
Yeah.
Or although they have their place as well. So, and then how does that fit into my own personal purpose?
Yeah.
There's something really rewarding when you go into a company and help somebody move the needle forward in chasing their dream or whatever that means to them, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. So, that's when you become part of your client's success story, right?
Yeah.
You're not just a transaction.
Yeah, exactly. It's not
Right?
about the money. Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredibly rewarding to go in there and, spend some time with them and you become friends with them and, you do business together and it's amazing. You see them succeed and you succeed. So yeah, better world through business. That's us.
That's awesome. All right, for the next questions. So how do you make sure everyone feels happy and included at work? Because this is basically your area, so.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we can't be the culture company.
Exactly,
without an
yeah.
awesome
So let's talk
culture.
about yours.
Yeah. Honestly, so we'll go back to the point of culture is a strategy,
Yeah.
right? Caitlin and I are constantly thinking about it, listening to our sixth sense. If that person's engagement seems to have dropped, we had that meeting because we're a virtual company too. We have a studio
Okay.
where we film, but
Yeah.
we work virtually. So we have to be extra careful in doing things like manufacturing spaces for connection. So like Monday mornings, it's Mind, Body, Soul Monday. No work talk allowed for the first half an hour. It's just like, how was your weekend?
Yeah.
How'd you feed your mind, your body, and your soul this weekend? Usually the body and soul gets a lot of love, the mind not so much on the weekend. But
That's
we create that space, right?
Yeah.
And it was a little awkward, I think, for some people at first. But now, for me personally, it's one of my favorite times of the week. And then Fridays, we'll do Feel Good Fridays. So it's like best part of the week. What happened? Doesn't matter if it's work or personal or whatever. Let's share those stories. And quite often it is. People will say, "Oh, I got to hang out with Adam in person this week because we were on a video shoot or whatever. That was really cool. Or we did this presentation. Whatever is going on." And then, once a month, because we're virtual, we make sure to get together in person.
Okay.
And we, talk about what's going on. We have something called Take It to 11.
Okay.
So our view on culture is there's 4 pillars around it. And we have to kind of pay attention to all 4 of them. First one's that psychological safety piece, right? So this is the space to share, to be vulnerable, really have to be conscious of, do the people that work with me feel like they could call me up and be like, "Hey, I'm just, this is going on in my life. Like, just wanted you to know," right? One easy trick, like the best piece of advice I ever got around this psychological safety piece is, especially as a leader, especially the bigger your team gets, the more, authority you're perceived to have, even though you still feel like just the same idiot who started the company in 2015. But so when you say, if you're, "Hey guys, like this is how we're going to do it," that's the temptation. If you just add at the beginning something like, "Hey, is this a good idea?" Or, "I had this idea, tell me if it's terrible," or something like that. If you preempt it with that, it gives people space to be like, oh, okay, he wants my feedback, right? Otherwise, I'll be like, hey, here's the plan. And everyone be like, yeah, okay, you're the boss, whatever, right? I'm not going to argue with you. Whereas I say is like, I had this idea. I don't think it's very good, but like, let's hammer it out because, you know, you guys will, I might have got it at 80% of the way there, but together we'll get it 100.
Yeah. So what you're saying is like communication is the key.
Yeah, well, that's the fourth. That's the fourth pillar.
I went straight ahead.
Yeah, you got it. But 100%. So pillar 2.
Yeah.
I'll go back in time. This is what we talk about is improvement.
Okay.
So this is that we have this thing take it to 11. So that's great, right? We're all gonna sit around the campfire and sing kumbaya, and that's awesome. But if we're not putting all that energy to good use, then it's gonna fizzle. It's gonna fade away. We're gonna feel really good today, maybe even tomorrow, and a few days from now, but a week from now, we're just gonna be back at it, stressful, working on our job. So you got to take that energy and point it at something super productive on the business, and that could be any number of things. Could be fixing a process that's not working. Could be building a training, doing a lunch and learn, strategizing about the future, thinking of a new video idea. Right? So we have a take it to 11 when we get together. There's always like a new topic, and we invite everyone to like bring something up and be like, all right. And if no one brings anything up, then we'll bring something up because there's always 100 things. We're like, all right, guys, this is pretty good the way we're doing it right now, but how do we take it to 11, right? And that's the Spinal Tap reference. If anyone's seen Spinal Tap, there's like a dial on his amplifier that goes not just to 10, but to 11. So how do you find that extra 11 with what you're doing? So, and then we also do... we call it Entivation Day. So it's once every 4 months, so 3 times a year, we will give everyone the entire day, completely optional, to work on as little or as much as they want, something creative. So for some people, that's like 10 minutes because they're stressed out and they're busy, and the thought of taking the day off is just, so it's like, whatever, I played guitar for 20 minutes. And that was my... For other people, we've had people like do paintings, build training programs.
Nice.
You know, one guy like weeded his garden once. Like the point is, and then the next day we get together, we share all these cool things that we do. And although not everybody does something work-related every time, it creates an incredibly strong connection. And the people that do work on work stuff, it like jumps us ahead like 6 months because in one day they just hammer through something that normally takes so long, right? So that's another thing we do on that side. And then the last pillar is accountability. So clear accountability. Does everyone know where the baton is handed off, who does what, and when? Because there's nothing that'll kill engagement faster than being frustrated because you're like, I thought it was his job, or I thought it was her job, or is it my job? I don't know. Let's go ask it, like, right? So, to answer your question, we're constantly trying to think of cooler, more interesting ways that we can do it with our team. Because, we're the culture company, so we have to have an awesome culture, right?
It's true.
So
because I remember when I was working at my previous corporate job, there are actually people that like, hey, that's not my job. So kind of like, don't tell me to do that because that's not my job. Well, you work at the same company, right? We have like, everyone has the same goal as this company. And, you know, those people sometimes is like, if you don't fix them, do you guys just like fire them completely? Or because like, I don't know. It's like, it's been a while since I work with my corporate job, but I don't know if that people still works there though. But like, do you guys like kind of, I would say is like train the person to, you know, kind of fix the culture, or do you just kind of like, go away? Like, remove the guy and then just hire somebody
for our own business, right? I mean, hopefully you have a good idea what your values are and you use that in the hiring process, that it helps with the hiring. But I think when people are saying, well, that's not my job to do that, it's not that they don't want to do it. It's that they're fearful about if they do that instead of this, there's going to be somebody yelling at them or giving them trouble for not getting that other thing done. So what they're really saying is,
It's like not my area.
Yeah, like
Expertise and stuff.
not feeling safe enough to venture outside my area.
Oh, okay.
Right? It's back to the psychological safety piece, right? Micromanagement, that type
Yeah.
of stuff, right? So for us, we really try and push the values. We really try and create that space.
Okay.
It's not necessarily about like training somebody to do for that stuff. We look for those opportunities, and you know, and when we're evaluating people, if we want to keep them on our team permanently, that's the kind of stuff we look for. Like,
I see.
you know, innovation's one of our values. Like, are they, you know, thinking about this stuff? You know, like walking by mediocrity, right? So,
Yeah,
like
that's correct.
you're walking by the studio, you know, like, you know, Boyan was just in here straightening out the books.
Yeah.
Here, right?
Yeah.
They're, you know, from here to here. It's like looking for that 1%.
Yeah.
Right. So, but then in terms of other companies, like when we help people with this stuff, we really try and develop what we call a champion program.
Okay.
Meaning when you're first trying to, you know, transform the culture of your business, it needs an engine, someone driving it all the time because it will fight you. It wants to go back the way it was.
Interesting.
So this is where a third party is useful because they will get stuff done like no one's business. They will move the needle, move it. But for us, you know, if after a year that's still the case, then we haven't done our job properly. There should be, we should be able to hand that off, and we look for champions within the company. And any leader, if I say the word champion, they immediately will, off the top of their, know exactly who in their company are the people that, you know, will put their hand up and volunteer if something needs done, or they'll go the extra mile. Like these are the people that are showing leadership potential. So what we want to do is identify those people and then start to train them with the stuff that we do. So we'll put on team building.
Yeah.
And then we'll start teaching them how to do it and then get them to put on team building. We'll just kind of support them and make sure it happens. And then, right? So we shift from like the engine pushing up.
I see.
And then at some point it will flip over. So your productivity is high, but it's your culture pulling it up, not an engine pushing it up.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you share an experience where you faced challenges while working with the client, and how did you navigate through the difficulties and manage the situation?
Oh man, there's so many examples.
I know. I'm pretty sure like all your clients love you so much, but I mean like there's certain clients that's just really hard to work with.
Yeah, I mean clients can be difficult for lots of reasons.
Yeah.
You know, we've had the client that doesn't pay. We've had that one, right?
Yeah.
We've had the client that's too busy.
Yeah.
So hard, you know, how am I supposed to help you if you cancel all our meetings and all that kind of stuff, right? We've had the client that's the hard negotiator and drives down the price, but then raises the expectations and then is upset at the end, right? We've kind of seen it all. So I would say what we've learned in all of this is to be really careful with selecting our clients, for example.
Oh, okay.
Setting those expectations up front. Okay, great. This is what's gonna happen. This is a commitment I need from you, and sort of communicating and over communicating what that is. Other things are, you know, for recurring payment things like social media, payment up front, beginning of the month. If you don't pay, you don't play, right? Whereas in the past, we were doing things like, you know, billing at the end of the month and then adding 30 days. So if there's like a 2-month. So no, payment is up front. That solves a lot of those problems. If it's bigger projects, you take a retainer up front, depending on the size of it. Could be 50%, could be 10%, whatever. Because you want clients that are willing to pay and value your service.
Yes, that's correct.
And if you see value on both sides.
Yeah.
So if both sides aren't seeing the value, that is when things like communication problems are happening and all that kind of stuff. Well, I'm having trouble communicating with you because you're not treating me like I'm valuable.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, but I would say, you know, the most challenging thing in our line of work is we are dealing with busy people, business owners or directors or VPs or whatever. So they're already busy. They hired you to help them be less busy, but you still need their attention to get there. So it is painful for them at first before it gets better. So, you know, tricks of managing busy people, figure out what method of communication works. For some, email's fine. For some, you got to text them.
Yeah.
For some, you got to phone them. And if you're going to phone them at like 8:01 or 1:01, because it's like right when they first are in the office and
Yeah.
no one's come in yet, or right at the end of their lunch, or at like 4:45 at the end of the day. Those are your
Okay.
highest probability times of getting hold of a busy person.
I see.
Other-
Do you ever like showed up to the front door? And
I haven't.
talk-
I haven't done that, but I
Okay.
did have a client who wasn't paying, and I called them every day for
Okay.
almost 3 months.
Wow.
So they eventually did, but
Because you showed up at the door.
in my own way, right? So, but yeah, I think as we get smarter at this stuff, there's definitely lots of things you can do up front.
Yeah.
Some are related to negotiation and money. Some are related to expectations that will better set you up for success, I think.
Yeah, because like when it comes to payments and negotiation about like the pricing and stuff like that, I think for me, it's like, I think it's the hardest way to get the client. Because like you can talk about this good stuff about your business and how to help them and then fix their, problem in their culture or in their company. But then when it comes to pricing, it's really hard to like, hey, how much your budget, how much you're willing to spend on this one to fix your problem, right? So how do you like kind of deal with that situation?
Well, I think it's always awkward talking about money, right?
No,
we don't want to sound like the greedy
yeah, that's true.
business owner or whatever, but right at the beginning in the sales process, qualifying your clients.
Okay.
If we're talking about like really big ticket items, like 6-figure programs that we're running, that's different. The price conversation comes kind of later. But if you're talking about a $2,000 video or a $5,000 video or whatever,
Yeah.
where I've gotten into the most trouble is where I haven't qualified them front. Be like, great, what is your budget for this? And then get them to say. Sometimes they're like, oh, I don't know, I have no idea. Like, okay, that's fine. Just so you know, a typical video costs anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000.
Yeah.
Does that sound like whatever? Because I've had it happen before where we haven't had that conversation, and then I go and do a proposal and give it to them, and they're like, "What? I have $1,500." Like, they're like, "Oh, well, sorry for $1,500."
Yeah.
Do you have any idea the cost of the equipment and the hours of editing, all this kind of stuff? So, definitely starts up front with having that conversation in the sales process.
Okay.
And then if you are getting to the the negotiation where like it's you've had meeting number 4 and they want to receive, but they're they're negotiating. I think things to watch out for are how hard they're negotiating, because I have had people come and be like, I want it for 50%, and I've had times early on where I've been like, yeah, okay, let's do it, right, whatever. I'm so excited to have a sale, they'll do it. But that never goes well. Those are the people who will then try and make you do 5 different review cycles, and they don't like this, or they add changes, and like they will never be happy. So you're better off going for the people that understand the value of what you're offering, and then respect your time for doing it.
That's right.
So I think those are kind of 2 places when it comes to
Do
money.
you find like small businesses is harder to deal with the pricing, or like the big businesses?
Bigger businesses, I think they're almost easier in some ways. Like they're a little bit harder process-wise because they have supply chain departments.
Yeah.
They're going to want to see your insurance, and
Yeah.
they're going to go through all this stuff. But they are less, money is not the ultimate driver for them in that situation. They have they're talking to you, they have the money. They have lots of money. For them, it's really about results and what they need to report back to their superiors.
Oh, okay.
So they would rather approve more money up front than ask for, a change order later on. Whereas smaller companies, it's often budget tight, especially in the marketing world, like social media, video, stuff like that. If you have a company, somebody that's coming in and it's like, well, how many views can you get me? How long before I see results? If they're really on that train, then you're like, watch out, because they're they're hungry, their cash flow is in jeopardy, and this is a desperation move to try
Yeah.
and get more clients.
So do you still take that client though, or you
I wouldn't
try to
now. I
stay
have in
away?
the past.
Okay.
And that's where I got burned and people didn't pay, right? So like,
You learned
or
your
they
lesson.
canceled after 2 months, and we got the whole team geared up, and it was
Yeah.
like, so we're better off, watching for the people that are like understand, you know, the game you're playing. If it's social media, it's a longer game. It's about brand awareness. It's not like you're gonna start posting, every day, and then the phone's gonna start ringing.
Yeah.
But if you do it every day for a year, it might
Get
change
some
some things in
results.
your world,
Yeah,
right? Like
that's true.
so. Yeah, definitely some hard learned lessons along the way, right? So,
Yeah, because we've had difficult clients in the past as well, and they're just really difficult to deal with. And what we do is like, yeah, just turn around and find a different company that can help you out. Because like obviously our company cannot provide you those things that you're
sure.
asking for, and
Right.
you probably don't have the budget for that as well, right? It's like in our previous podcast, it's like, hey, I have $10,000 budget, and can you provide me like a Hollywood advertising type of video? I'm like, yeah, no, we cannot do that.
Right.
Because like we only have like a small capacity that can help you with your business, but not to the point where like competing with Hollywood stuff of contents, right? And it's funny enough that like when the client wants more out of their money, they just want like they want you to do it right away. It's like I want the fastest delivery as well, right? So
Sure.
I don't know. For us, it's just we just try to like stay away from those clients. You guys did too.
Yeah, I mean, for people that don't understand the value of video, for
Yeah.
example, can you have that done on by Friday? And we're like,
Or tomorrow.
this is gonna take like 80 hours of effort to do this. Like,
Yeah, it
Right?
takes like weeks or months or even years sometimes if if it's how
Like-
big it is that you want it to.
sure.
And it's not 100% that could help your company as well, because like your vision is probably if we give you our vision, then that could probably help your company. But if you're just giving us your vision and doesn't make sense at all, it might not even help your marketing company, right? Because
Sure.
like you probably like we've seen it all, but you probably haven't seen it all. You know what I mean? It's like on the business side of video type of contents, right? So
Yeah, and we're talking about people thinking about starting a business, right? So empowering them, and
that's right.
easy to say select your clients when you've had a little bit of success. But yeah, if you are starting out, I would say, understand who you are and why you're doing it. And
Yeah.
my experience with that journey is I don't think part of me still doesn't realize why I'm going through all this trouble,
Yeah.
right? And then, watch out for those clients. You'll probably take them early on because you'll pretty much take business from anybody when you're starting out.
That's right.
But at least go with your eyes open and recognize the lessons when they happen, and
Yeah, that's true.
do the best as you can, right?
Yeah, because the best lesson in life is experience.
Sure, right? 100%.
Okay, Adam. Yeah, those are pretty good advice for businesses. And can you give me like for like the startup or like small businesses who wanted to like I would say it's like normal people who wants to start their own business. Do you have any advice for them to go after their goals and dreams or to become successful in the future?
Well, I will sum up all that stuff I say with one piece of advice to people thinking about starting a business.
Okay.
And I'll say, don't do it. And the reason I say that is because if there's any part of you, when I say that feels relieved or feels like, oh God, thank God, I right?
Yeah.
Then don't do it. But if you hear me say that and you're like, screw that guy, like I know this will work, I'm going to do it anyways, then you have a chance. Because what people don't say is that it will be among the hardest things that you've ever done in your life.
Yes.
It will emotionally tax you. It will the personal learning journey is insane.
Yeah.
The highs are really high, but the lows are really low. So I just say that for people because think about how badly you want it and what you're willing to do to get there. And if I say that to you, don't do it, and you're like, screw that guy, then you got a chance. So,
Well, that's Adam for you guys from Enta Solutions, and thank you so much for coming into our show, Adam. And guys, if you guys if you have any questions, comment down below. We can answer that to the next podcast. Just me and my co-host Boyan. And if there's anything that you learn from this podcast, you can hit that like button if you're watching this on Facebook. But if you're watching this on YouTube, then subscribe to our channel so that you can get more information just like this, or you don't miss any information just like this with Adam today. Again, I'm your host, Mark Tabulon, and this is Empowering Monday. Go maximum force, guys. Thank you. I'll see you at the next video. Peace out, guys.
thanks, Mark.
Thank you so much, Adam. Oh, that was great. Thank you. Nice.
And you can run it, man. We ain't never fall back.